What's up, YouTube? Jeff, your style OG. And on today's video, we're going to talk about 10 signs you might be a simp. If you're new to the channel, we release a new video every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, discussing various men's lifestyle topics such as style, grooming, and dating. I invite you to subscribe, tap that notification bell, and join us. And to my returning friends like Mike Harris, salute. Funny word, this word simp has actually been around for quite a long time, even back when I was a young G. But it seems to have really picked up steam, especially on the internet, the last year or two. And here's the problem I see with it. Yes, I wholeheartedly believe simps exist, but probably not the way the modern guy is describing one. And that's what I want to talk to you about on today's video. I'm going to point out some things you might be doing that qualify you as a simp. Yes, simps do exist in my opinion, but I'm also going to let you know some things that don't make you a simp that I think the modern guy has misconstrued. But most importantly, if you find yourself simping, I'm going to give you some ideas or some thoughts on how you can fix it. So without any further delay, let's get into 10 signs you might be a simp. Now, first off, I think we need to define what a simp is, at least from my perspective. Now, when I was coming up, a simp was a sucker, a guy who just overdid it in the hopes of getting a woman's attention. He got made a fool of and taken advantage of by these women. If this is what you're doing, you're a simp. But let me tell you what a simp isn't. A gentleman isn't a simp. A man who believes that a woman has more value, way more value, than just for your physical satisfaction doesn't make you a simp. Being aware of and caring what women think and what they find appealing doesn't make you a simp. It makes you informed. It's funny, my whole life never been accused of being a simp until recently when I actually have made videos talking about how a woman wants to be treated. That makes you a simp. Okay, cool. I think the modern interpretation is way to the extreme, but that's normal in these modern times. People go to the extreme corners. But you have to be careful that you distinguish between someone who's a sucker and you being misogynistic. But with that out of the way, let's talk about, from my perspective, what I believe actually does make someone a simp. Simps do exist. Sign number one that you might be a simp is if you put yourself in a submissive or inferior position in the hopes of landing a woman. That's simping 101. A woman that you're interested in that you don't even know isn't above or below you. She's just a human being like you. Why do you feel you're inferior to her? And it's definitely simping when you use the submissive approach in the hopes to landing favor with her. And this overly nice guy putting her in a superior position just to get a date, that is a textbook definition of being a simp. You don't even know that woman. Don't feel submissive. Sign number two of simping, overvaluing a woman, especially one woman you don't even know. Here's how this happens a lot. A simp will develop a crush on this beautiful woman. He automatically puts her on a pedestal. What has she done to earn to be put on a pedestal? Sometimes we all put people up here, but it should be after they earn it. This woman that you're crushing on could be the worst lady on earth. You don't even know. Why are you putting her up here before she's earned it? And the problem becomes you forget about all the other fish in the sea because you develop tunnel vision on this one beautiful woman. All you know about her is that she's attractive. And that's not something she had any control over. Why are you putting her on a pedestal or overvaluing her when you don't even know her? That's simping. Another surefire sign that you might be a simp is if you're the nice guy who uses being nice as a manipulative tool. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of times guys will say, I'm just going to be super nice and this woman's going to owe me a date. I'm going to nice her out of her phone number. That's very manipulative, especially if you're doing this nice thing in the effort to manipulate someone into owing you something. That's super corny, very simpish. There's nothing wrong with doing kind things. It's good to be a generous, compassionate man. You want to be kind, not nice. A nice guy who tries to use niceness to manipulate a woman into liking him, you're simping. Another surefire sign you could be simping, not recognizing or accepting the fact you're in the friend zone. Now, this happens to simps a lot. They'll meet a woman, try to see if she likes them, and after months and months go by, nothing romantic has happened, you're still thinking you have a shot. No, my brother, you are in the friend zone. And 99% out of 100 times, you're probably not going to get out. But you're still going out of your way to do nice things and spend time around her. That's classic simping. One of the ways to fix that, be direct. Ask her out on a date. She's going to say yes or no. Then you'll know and recognize if you're in the friend zone. If she puts you in the friend zone, just leave. Don't even be friends with her. There's no upside to it, except for if you want to remain a simp. Now, here's another sign you might be in a simp brigade. Are you somebody who categorically defends women no matter what the topic or the situation? Back in my day, we used to call you Captain Saver. What the simple do will always agree, always say women are right, again, thinking they're going to curry favor with women. They can never see women doing wrong. You have to remember, there's a whole wide range of women. Some good, some bad, and many in between. Don't be so quick to categorically defend women in every situation. That makes you a simp. Next sign kind of has to do with what a lot of people have problems with. Not living in the gray areas, having balance. Here's what I mean. Simps put way too much effort and time trying to seek women's approval. Now notice I said too much time and energy. All of us are going to put some effort into trying to attract the opposite sex, but it shouldn't be your main focus in life. Everything you do shouldn't be just to make women like you. Spend way more time on your purpose, being the best man you can be, developing yourself. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't spend some time learning and observing what women like. But you gotta have balance. Do not spend your whole life seeking women's approval 24/7. That's simping, my brother. Another sign I definitely want you to be on the lookout for, are you constantly in dating relationships that aren't reciprocal? Here's what I mean. Are you always going out of your way to make sure you're available for a woman? Are you constantly giving, and rarely or never receiving in return? Simps often have trouble drawing boundaries. They do everything they can to get the woman to like them at their own expense. You need to be in relationships, friends, family, but especially in dating that involve reciprocity, give and take. If you're constantly throwing money at women, constantly giving, and getting nothing in return, you're simping, my brother. And that's a close cousin to the next sign you might be simping. Are you a man that constantly lets women walk all over them? Now, here's the thing. There's some women and men that do enjoy taking advantage of people. And if they see a sucker in you, they'll do it to you. And although she may enjoy the spoils of you being a pushover, she's not going to respect you. She's going to be with the guy that draws boundaries and set limits. A simp will often let a woman just treat them any old kind of way. That's not manly. That's not strong. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be kind, compassionate, and generous. That's cool, but don't be a pushover. It's not good for you, and she won't respect you. And that kind of leads me into my next point, and what simps do often in their life, not just in dating relationships. They put other people's needs way above theirs. Your needs, wants, and desires are just as important as anyone else's. In fact, you should take care of you first. Other people should come second, unless we're talking about kids. But grown-ups, they come second to your desires, wants, and needs. The simp will often put his woman or any woman's needs way before his own. That's some sucker stuff. It doesn't mean that you don't pay attention to other people's wants, needs, and desires, but they're secondary on your priority list. Take care of you first. Don't put other people's want, needs, and desires before yours. That's simple. And last but certainly not least, on my list of 10 signs you might be a simp is the guy who's constantly throwing money and attention at women. Here's the thing. A lot of guys who are simps are insecure. They think if I just have a lot of money, women will like me. Now, there are women who will like you and take advantage of you because of your money. But that's not the kind of woman you want. No, I'm not telling you shouldn't be giving, kind, generous, pay for a date, but don't throw money and attention at women at the hopes of getting her to like you. You kind of want to get her to like you for you. Lead with your personality, your sense of humor. And if a woman doesn't want you because you're not spending a bunch of money on her, she wasn't the right woman for you to begin with. Now, don't get me wrong. I spend money on my woman, but to a limit. But I lead with this charm, good looks, and sense of humor. Okay, so there you have it. 10 signs that you might be a simp. and a few suggestions on how you might be able to fix it. Make sure you let me know in the comment section you agree, disagree, or have something you want to add to the conversation. As always, I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, hit that like button. Helps the channel to grow. And of course,
Hello, everybody. Hello. I don't know how old are y'all, but do y'all remember that song called Simpin? Pimpin' Ain't Easy. Pimpin' Ain't Easy. Hey, y'all remember that song? This that song making me think about this song. Simpin' ain't easy. Hey, sipping ain't easy. Made up a little song for that. But however, welcome everybody. Welcome to this great episode of Simpin. I already see we got some good people there in the house right now. We got Big Reed, he's in the house right now. And, we got Miss Thornton, she's in the house as well. And from my YouTube universe, we have Miss Joy Chit Chat. She's also on in the house as well. Appreciate y'all joining. Let's go ahead and jump into this. All right. So y'all pretty much heard this this YouTuber. He was just giving an example of what it means to be a simp. All right. Now, due to this whole situation that we're dealing with right now with Kevin Samuels and all these other content creators, this word simp has been thrown around a lot lately. So I wanted to take the opportunity to really explain the meaning of this word simp. I want to take the opportunity to explain it. Then from there, we can have a clear understanding what they're talking about being a simp. This content creator, he did a wonderful job explaining it. Great job explaining. But I want to just share some things with y'all too about that too. Let me try to pull this up again. Give me a few seconds. You know, the thing we content creators do. All right, I'm going to throw it up here. Now, this is the Urban Dictionary meaning of a simp. All right. The Urban Dictionary meaning of a simp is that it's a man who puts himself in a subordinate or submissive position under a woman in hopes of winning them over without the female bringing anything to the table. That's the first meaning. The second meaning means a man that puts too much value on a female for no reason. All right. The next one is a man that prides himself with chivalry and hopes of getting sexual gratifications from a woman. Then, of course, the last meaning, a square with no game other than rolling out the red carpet for every female. Now, keep in mind, this is Urban Dictionary meaning of a simp. All right. So we're gonna go through each of these definitions. I'm gonna give you an example of a person who have simp-like tendencies. Okay. Now the first definition is talking about a man who puts himself pretty much in a submissive position under a woman in the hopes of winning them over without the female bringing anything to a table. Now this definition of simp, this is what a lot of people use in this day and age when they're referring to the contact with Kevin Samuels. All right. They refer to this as, these men who try to side on with these women that Kevin Samuels who he interviewed on his show. All right. So in other words, this man, he appears to be a beta male, in other words. He appears to be this beta male, and what he doing? He wants to win over any type of woman that he's interested in. Another word for this is becoming a yes man, being a yes man, a beta yes man. So these type of men, what they do, they wherever the woman wants, they'll allow the woman to get. That's a long story short. That's what they do. That's their whole function in life. And they feel that if they do these things like that, then it's going to want to win them over with the one woman. All right. Now, example of this is when I unfortunately when I look at content with Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey has a lot of simp tendencies in him, and Steve Harvey do fit himself within this first definition of being a simp. Unfortunately, when he puts himself in a submissive position or winning them over. When Steve Harvey had his show, that's how his whole show was built on him being a simp, where he was catering to the women audience. The women, they'll go up and ask different questions about relationships. Then he'll have a very simpish response. I even remember looking at an episode of his show when it was airing on TV that he actually brought in different men who also were simps, by the way. And he brought these men in, and the women was asking the men, like, what type of woman are they looking for, and all this other simple stuff. But in other words, this is what the definition of being a simp is for us, a man. All right. Now, they also fit into the category of a man that puts too much value on a female for no reason. Have y'all ever just been around the one dude that does pedestalize a woman way too much for no apparent reason? Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that you shouldn't value a woman at all. I'm not even saying that you should devalue a woman either, because we should value all our women. We should value our queens. But there's certain men out there, they be over exaggerating with it, where they overvalue their women. They overvalue the queens. But it be a personal agenda behind why they do that. That's the definition of being a simp also as well. When they put too much value on a female for no reason at all. Now, the next meaning of a simp is talking about a man that prides himself with chivalry and hopes again of sexual gratification from women. Now, these type of men, these are the type of men that they're known as players. These are ones who are in the game where they do anything possible just so they can have sex with women. All right. Now, the biggest simp in this category that I know that's out right now is Derrick Jackson. Derrick Jackson fits perfectly in this category because that's exactly how he built his platform of being a simp. But he built this platform of being a simp for the sole purpose of him going out and, cheating and sleeping with different women. He said all the things that women want to hear, talking down on men, even though he was the very man that he was talking about on this platform. Textbook definition of being a simp. Derrick Jackson. Here's that textbook example of being simpish. In other words. I'm going to address you in a minute, Mr. Reed. I am. Yeah, and I do agree that he is in entertainment. He's selling the image. True. It is what it is. And there's always every two sides to a story. Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for those women not our women. Yeah, I also agree with that as well, Mr. Reed, too, that this doesn't fit with every woman, or it doesn't fit with every man. I'm talking about this particular type of women, and I'm talking about this particular type of men who are simps. They do these things just so they can want to sleep with women. Now, I do have a confession to make too. When I was younger, I used to do a lot of simpish stuff. And I'm just gonna be honest with you. I did when I was younger, and I had fit more in the category just like with Derrick Jackson. I did. I fit more in the category where when I was doing a lot of simple stuff just so I could, win these ladies over so I could, achieve with having sex with the ladies. That's what I was doing when I was young. That's what I did when I was young. Was I successful with it? Oh yeah, absolutely I was. But it comes a point in time where you have to graduate, or you not graduate, but you have to evolve from all of that. Especially if I'm a man and I'm looking for stability, I'm looking for a good, long lasting relationship. There comes a point in time where I have to evolve or mature from all that, or put away these childish things or what I was doing. Then there's another thing too of dealing with the law of the universe. When you're dealing with the law of the universe, what goes around do comes around. I remember. I remember one point in time that when I finally stopped doing this and I started changing my ways, I ended up meeting this woman. I ended up meeting this woman, and she did the very thing that I was doing to other women to me. That's how the law of the universe works. That law of karma. So yeah, I mean, once when I learned from the errors of my way, then I got away from being the simp and just evolve myself. Let me see what you got, Miss Thornton. You said money and material items. My ex, but that's how he was raised. He never grew from that boyish mentality. Known him for 20 plus years, and he's still the same at 52 years old. And that's sad. It wasn't he wanted sex outside. It was he taught material items make you happy, but also he is a a man that gets his validation through this and that. Never was taught there needs to be substance in the relationship. Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Hey, you don't supposed to be co-signing with me, by the way, Epic Purple. You don't supposed to be co-signing saying yes, I did. But now you cool though, Miss Thornton. You know I was gonna read it. You know I was gonna read yours. You know what, Mr. Reed? I actually agree with that. Yeah, and I was successful because there was them type of women that wanted it too. Them type of women, not every woman. Them type of women that wanted it. I agree. And we do want to talk about, karma. We talk about the law of attraction as well. Um, I agree with that as well. So these men who are out here who are doing this simping and stuff, it's gonna come to a point in time where they're gonna hopefully get up into age. I'll suffer while Miss Thornton X, because apparently he's still simping right now. But it's gonna get to a point where you don't want to mature from that, where you want to get away from that, where you want to be more stable than trying to simp all the time. Then another thing too, and Miss Thornton, and I know it's other ladies who's on here too listening. I know from experience that women do not respect men who are simps. I know that women do not respect men who are simps. A woman don't want a man who's a yes man out all the time. They want a man to be a man, a person with substance. They want a man to be a man of um, a leadership, a man of guidance, a man who got a lot of integrity about himself. That's what women are looking for. A woman's not looking for, just that simp beta male where who they could just push them over out every single time. They're not looking for that. It's not even in a woman nature to be balanced with that. It's not in their nature at all. Yeah, I agree. But yeah, even with that, and I'm talking about being simp and also being a beta male too. Also, where you're dealing with the law, nature of law of attraction, it one have to exist along with the other. All right. So let's say, for example, that you have this old simpish beta male dude, right? Who's simpish, and he's a beta male, and he's this weak dude. So what's going to end up happening is that through the law of attraction, he's going to end up attracting what we call an alpha woman. He's going to end up attracting that type of alpha woman because of the energy that he's putting out there in the universe. We see it all the time. We see these these type of alpha women all the time where instead of them being quote unquote submissive, it's more of the beta male being more submissive. But that deals with the law of the universe. Things have to balance itself out. Yeah, it had to unbalance itself out. And so the only way to rectify what's happening in the law of universe is that man had to evolve. Now I know yesterday we kind of talking about this. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. We was kind of talking about that. They were talking about leadership and everything for as a man. But it comes a point in time where a man have to be a leader as well. He can't be just that beta male. He have to lead his household. He have to lead by example. Then another thing about that too is that when you have these men who step here on coercing women into sex, being a simp, coercing them and doing all these different things, he's creating that energy as well. That's why you see women with these same type of masculine energy, where now these generation of women, they're becoming, players, or they're becoming more of a simp as well too, towards being where they're doing the same as that thing, manipulate beta men into having sex with them just so they do it. They'll be a yes man to these dudes in a way. Okay, his God took everything from him in 1 month. So now this is a test for him to grow or stretch. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. And yeah, no, Miss Thornton, she's confirming everything too. Like a woman will respect you way better when you're in your leadership role as a head. And yeah, I also agree with you, Mr. Reed, too. There are also role playing as well. But I also call it not only role playing, but role reversal too. There's a lot of role reversal in this generation as well, too. Where these men they were simple so long. Now they teaching these women the game, and now these women doing the simpish stuff as well. Technically speaking, a woman technically can't be a simp, but hey, we're living in the 21st century. Everybody want equal rights, so why not? Why a woman can't be? I know that sounds kind of contradictory, but hey, a woman can be a simp. Equal rights, correct? Um, I shared the link for y'all to want come on here. If y'all want to come on here real quick, y'all can. Let me go ahead and throw it on here again. Duh. Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Reed. It is a Pythagorean shift. It's crazy. It is crazy. Let me take this off the screen real quick. I'm gonna do that so y'all can see me. All right. So yeah, if y'all want to come on here real quick, we'll have this conversation. I'm more than willing to have it with y'all this evening. Stupid woman. Yeah, you said that earlier. You said that earlier. I just put it on there, Miss Thornton. Oh. This is kind of different from what we did yesterday, Miss Thornton. All right. So I just put the links in put the link in the comment. This is the StreamYard link that I put in the comment on Facebook. All right. So what you need to do, you need to copy it, then paste it onto your mobile device. And if you're using Google Chrome on your phone or any type of mobile device, you're going to copy and paste it on there. It's going to take you directly to the link where I'm at right now, so you can join the panel. And Mr. Reed, I know you itching to come on, so go on, get on here, bro. I know you want to get on here. I know you want to get on here, bro.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
My man got his tea ready and everything.
Yeah, I kind of like I'm like kind of sipping coffee here right now. It's I forgot what time it is. It's like 10:35 right now at nighttime. I'm sipping on
Mhm.
some coffee, just enjoying a peaceful night. It's kind of hot out here tonight, so just trying to just
Yeah.
stay cool.
Oh yeah,
But
it's hot in there. Oh, Miss Thornton, when you get on here, you could turn your camera off, just like I have my camera turn off. Yeah, you could do it right before you click on. You could just turn your camera off.
oh, me?
No, I'm talking about Miss Thornton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
she was asking because she turned her camera off. Now it's telling she can.
yeah, I mean, I just wanted to chime in. First of all, I want to say good evening to you, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on the show and chime in on the topic of simping. I believe that a lot of the concept of simping is a learned behavior, man. It's something that a lot of times we don't, or not. Let me not make a general statement, but most of the times when people get involved with relationships, I don't really um, hear the background checks. And what I mean by background checks, to be specific, is like you have to know, a person has to first know what they're looking for in a relationship, and they have to know if they're looking to raise a family, if they're looking for what type of partner they're looking for, if they're looking for a partner at all, and a lot of times I realize the psychology behind sharing yourself or sharing with another person, the intimacy, the mental, the spiritual, and the physical. All of these things are energies, and we have to understand the importance of these energies and how experience what we've learned in our past, whether we've experienced trauma in our relationships, whether we came from a background where if it was a single parent home, if the father was present, or if the mother wasn't present, or if both parents were present or not, whether the how the relationship between both parents uh, were developed, meaning were there any abuse in the household, and so taking in consideration a lot of factors. It's funny how you use the example of saying, when you were younger, you used to, subscribe to the Simpin philosophy until you decided that you wanted different results. You begin to start to explore different possibilities. And so I just kind of realized that, you know, when a person decides to mature or look for different results, they begin to research themselves. They want to find themselves, and they want to basically discover themselves and learn about themselves. And in the process, we begin to understand that a lot of behaviors, man, are learned behaviors, and we have to also respect the partner who we are engaging our intimate behavior with. We have to respect that individual, but we have to also discover to find who they are, as well as finding out who we are, so that we can reach a common ground and discovering what it is that we are joining together to achieve. And so I come to realize that it's not just a social construct, meaning that most of our, and I probably would be wrong to make a general statement in this aspect. And the aspect that I'm referring to is the philosophy of relationships in terms of how we view our roles in a relationship, especially being men of color. You know, if a black man has so many ways that they can look at their relationship with another partner. It can be economically, it can be I don't know, you know, economically, and then so many other factors. You know, so I'm just saying this is a little bit, it's a lot more deeper than what's on the surface. But I believe definitely that one of the main things we have to understand is that we have to develop an idea and a question of what is it that we're looking for in a relationship, and why is it so essential for us to share ourselves with another person? Because I hate to say it, a lot of times what we consider simping behavior is actually some behaviors are behaviors that a partner is actually looking for. You know, you know, I've experienced people who have been in relationships, to be brief, where they're role playing, where the female wanted a submissive male when it came to certain aspects of their relationships, because I
Yeah,
guess, yeah, I'm listening.
yes, sir. Several. That situation that you're talking about, that normally occurs during, sexual encounters where they have that type of role playing. Um, you mentioned a lot of good things, and I agree with that. But let me ask you a question, bro, and I want you to be as transparent as possible about this question. All right,
Okay, cool.
have you ever been a simp? And if you have, why?
Well, I believe I probably fit that I probably fit that philosophy, that concept. And I would say the reason why is because, you know, I honestly speaking, I didn't even know what a simp was until I've come to realize that a simp, and from when I look at a simp, I'm thinking the word of a pimp. So that's something I'm learning, that there's a category that I fit into if I'm being too nice, or if I was being a certain type of way, right? So I would say that, yeah, I probably fit that category, because in the process of getting involved with relationships, you have to learn. I had to learn the type of person that meets my needs, that the type of person that I want to be with. So in the process of meeting one person, it may not work out, and then I come to realize that maybe it didn't work out for whatever various reasons. But we live, we learn, and we grow. And part of having a relationship is basically, you know, socializing, the ability to communicate and socialize. So yeah, I would say that, but then I disagree with it, because I come to realize that there's nothing wrong with being nice, or or there's nothing wrong with treating a woman with a certain type of feel, as long as both individuals agree with how they reciprocating. If they meaning that if that is the type of partner that meets my needs, is am I a simp, or is that simply how we relate to each other in terms of economics or that type of freedom? You know, so I don't really subscribe to it in terms of philosophy, because I think that experience or life experience dictates certain actions. So I would say in the past, yeah, if a person wants to do a compare and contrast, I mean, let's keep this thing authentic. Like the first thing that the brother said when he gave the example of simp, he narrowed it down to an urban definition. So now
Yeah,
it
he
takes
did.
me.
Hmm.
So when he said it in terms of like ebonics. So it's like I said, so now when I'm thinking about this, it's like, is this a form of ebonics that we compared? Have we created this identity from an urban perspective or urban culture? Have we subscribed to this type of identity? And if so, then I believe that it's an identifying who we are, is in terms of our role in a relationship as a man who is a black man. Because I think that that role needs to be, I think that as a black man, our role, we constantly are trying to find our roles in relationships, because slavery has destroyed the role of our relationships in terms of how we even deal with each other. um and so
True.
I believe that classically it needs to be redefined, and we have to find and redefine ourselves and our roles as black, especially as black men, relating to black women. We have to know, we have to redefine ourselves, man, and how we even and rebuild and restructure how we relate to one another, if we're talking about a relationship in terms of uh black on black. But if it's somebody that's not black, is that considered simping? Because if it's clearly defined to me that that word doesn't apply outside of the context of an urban depiction of a black man in a relationship. But if we're not going to talk about color, then I would say like there's nothing wrong with it. Because I come to realize that if I can afford it, is it simping, or is it just something that meets my needs? Or if the roles are reversed, because I'm not insecure. So let's say the female is paying my way, and I'm still being the yes man, and economically my credit is up. I get to live the life that I want, and behind closed doors, this is how we live our roles to keep ourselves together. We ain't got to worry about bills. We ain't got to worry about economics. So is it simping? Who is it simping for? Who are we when no one is looking? Who are you when no one is looking? That's why I use Steve Harvey as a
You,
good example, because he's an entertainer.
yeah,
Nobody
yeah.
can say, yeah, he
Yeah,
sells a
I'm
perfect thing.
I mean to cut you off, Mr. Reed. I know you got some great interest point. I want to go ahead and
Yeah,
give
go
Miss
ahead.
Queen the opportunity to speak as well. How you doing, Miss Queen Thornton?
Hey, Miss
I'm
Queen, how
doing.
you doing?
I'm enjoying it. I'm listening. I'm enjoying it. So he can finish.
Oh,
Now, I would
well,
like, I'll just give you the time, Miss Queen. Respectfully, I think I said enough. I think I said a lot, but I'd like to
Well,
hear
I
your
didn't catch.
take.
Okay, I didn't catch everything you said because I was in and out of the room, and it took me a minute to get it to download the link. So I missed quite a bit, but I got the gist of it. Um, this new age degrading, I call it, the word simp. I think when I did hear the part when you said the urban definition and how he actually urbanized it or watered it down or whatever. So it's meant to be a word that's for our culture. Is that what he was saying? It's it's
That
it's
that
it's,
that's
it's
what it
for
was like
us.
implied. Yeah, it was an implied meaning. I would, yeah,
Pick that up. I kind of picked it up, but I didn't get it as quite justified until you explained it. I'm like, yeah, that's what it was. And that's sad because I call us I call us us's. So every time I say us's, I'm talking about us black folks. Us's
right,
always have a way of killing each other, have a way of degrading,
right,
distorting children's mindset because these words are catchy. Back in the day, I ain't gonna tell you my age, but back in the day, it was slick or something like that. We're gonna go back to the 70s. Some of those words, they're catchy
right,
phrases, and we caught up to them, and we knew exactly what they meant. So now you have these young boys and girls growing up wondering if they're gonna be a simp or not before they're even teenagers,
right,
because that's how catchy it is. So we're gonna urbanize this so we can have another generation that has a stigma on their back, and they got to live up to it because that's what
right,
they was taught. But to me, simping, I hear a lot of people talking about you probably know who he is, Dr. Boyce Watkins. He's just got married a couple weeks ago, and a lot of people even come on his page or his platforms and call him a simp. Why is he a simp? Because he married a woman of his dream, and she's educated and he's educated, and they're growing together and they're raising each other, helping raise their children, and everybody is happy. It's a family. So he's a
right,
simp because she wants his money. She has a doctor. She's a doctor. He has education too. So I just used him as an example because the last month or so I've been hearing everybody saying he's a simp, he's a simp, he's a simp. And then when he got married, it was public. Everybody was invited. It was broadcast, and oh, he's the number one simp or something because he
right,
treats his woman like a queen and she treats him like a king. So what is she? What is she? And it's like we can't start to collectively rebuild, reshape, or change the mindset of our culture if we don't start at home. If I got an uncle and he's married or remarried or whatever, and he's treating his wife not like she want to be treated, I don't want to say that because
right,
every woman is different. How they both agree in this house, this is how we're going to be. I don't think that's simping. If I know he likes this or needs this, we're going to use the word that a lot of black women hate. That's my job.
right,
And if he knows I like this or need this, that's his job. Everybody
right,
has a role, but you got a whole flock of people out there, and it's not just one age group. It's not just one generation using this word simp or whatever word they want to use to say that's is. I even take it back where it's like people you acting white. He's acting white, or he's treating her nice, or she's treating him nice. They acting like white people. That's what simp reminds me of when they
right,
used to say that back in school days. Or they acting like, oh, she sound like a white person, or she talk proper, and I'm like, so is that simping too? This is just another generation, you know.
right,
And I think people get caught up in, if you look, if I want to look deep, if we want to get into the therapeutic part of it, the mentality of envy and jealousy is underrated because people cover it up. It's
right,
there. That word simp, that's where that comes from. Anything that's inside of that person that's making this word valid has something going on internally.
right,
And now
right,
it done got in the mainstream, and it's just like, that's it. That's it. That's in black and white. Yep, simp. She's a simp or whatever. And that's
right,
sad. That's sad. But
right,
like you said, you see it. We don't. Well, until you mentioned it, I never noticed it until I started thinking while you was talking. We don't see it in any other culture. We don't see
right,
Mexicans calling each other simps. We don't see Caucasians. We don't see Asians calling each other simps.
right,
And that goes to me, the mentality, the slave mentality. It's always going to be there if we don't change it. And the sad part of a lot of people don't know how to. And if you give
Right.
them the tools, they're afraid to use them because it's
Right.
something different. It's not what my uncle Petey taught me. It's not what my auntie somebody taught me. That's all I
Right.
know all my life. It's just cool. Everybody doing it. The N
Right.
word. Everybody, if we take the G out and just put GA, it means something different. Come on. It's just cool. Everybody
Right.
doing it. The N word.
Right.
Everybody, we take the G out and just put GA. Oh, I hear it back. I'm talking again. I can hear it. But it's sad. It's sad when I started hearing simping a lot. I was like, okay, they calling him what people used to call him. I can't even think of a word that I can say on air. But it's just sad. It's sad that that person has the mentality to constantly use that word or refer to his brother, sister, brother as a simp. Is telling me that person never want a whole relationship. That person never want fulfillment mentally, spiritually, emotionally. They'll never have it.
Right. Right.
They'll never have it because
Right.
it's a fear factor. It's a fear factor to the unknown.
Right. Right. I agree. I
So
mean, I agree.
it's sad.
I
It's,
agree.
it's really
I agree. I mean, one of the things, if I can, if I may, I just wanted to add.
Yep, yeah, I'm here too. I'm kind of having technical difficulty, but I'm listening to y'all.
Oh, so I just wanted to like basically um add on and with what Queen was saying in terms of yeah, I mean that the excellent point, because one of the things I realized even as a child coming up, you know, one of the biggest things I noticed in my household, um, which I came from a single parent household, and TV, couch potato, was the common thing, you know, at a certain age. And what happens is that I didn't realize it until later, until after I attended college, and it was a liberal arts college. Basically, I would watch shows. My favorite shows at the time were the Jeffersons and um, the urban shows, a lot of urban shows. And so what happened was I had later on came come to realize after I became uh, culturally aware of my identity, and begin to discover things about myself, my role, things that I started to discover, things that I had not learned in school about culture, and I said, wow, there's much more than just Christopher Columbus. And there's much more than this, that, and a whole lot of other things. But my whole point is that I had, when I'm thinking about the word simp, I've come to realize that the whole, our whole identity in terms of how we relate to each other, uh, it's just the communication, it's like, even like you said, Queen, even the aspect of communicating, having an education. A person that speaks proper, they are defined as a person that hey, you're white, you're speaking white. Where did that come from? Like, what the hell does me having an education have to do with me trying to assimilate? Assimilation and education are two different things. And so it's a sad thing when those type of lines are blurred in terms of the identity. But when it comes to the aspect of the simping, it's to me is very powerful, because it has the ability to transform the mind. It has the ability to cause a child to become defensive, where they begin to, now the male, the black young, the black young man becomes a person where he's looking from where he's at economically, from where he may be at physically, as far as his physical world around him, meaning that he may live in a poverty stricken environment. He may come from a single parent household. He may have been exposed to the traumatized relationship in his household or with other people in his immediate surroundings. And now it becomes a thing where, like you said, therapy may have to be instituted in his life later on, because he has a failure to be in tune to his feelings, to his emotions, to have a proper balance of a healthy relationship with other people, because he may grow up to have displaced emotions. We have a problem, I come to realize, in terms of how we relate, especially black men. And when we define things in terms, or when we're defining things in terms of a cultural and worldview, we tend to tread the wrong type of waves, the wrong type of water, because it's a different view than how the world views us. And we come in looking at things and looking at people from a perspective that sometimes is very wrong, and that we have to relearn what we've learned, and take a bold approach and step towards breaking down the so-called foundation that we built, which is actually wrong. And we have to be willing to reshape and rechange that, because we come up with a concept of how women should be, right? When women are individuals just like men, and they're not property. This is no such thing where, like I'll give you a prime example. I remember growing up where guys will, the biggest thing you would do is get into a fight, because the first thing that come out of your mouth is if you have a girlfriend, you're like, that's my girl. What you doing talking to my girlfriend? She's not a property. And then she would do the same thing. That's my boyfriend, or that's my man. What are you doing? No, that's like very unhealthy. You get into a relationship, and if the person is, yes, sir. Yeah, I mean, excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
To me, that is a sign that no one recognized back then, a sign of insecurities. Ownership, the sign of insecurity. I have to acknowledge and this is my man, this is my woman. Right. Okay, why are you being so hostile about it?
Right.
Insecurities.
Right.
It's like a dog marking his territory. And then somebody else gonna come pee on that same tree.
That's right. That's right.
It's like a dog marking his territory.
That's right.
Yeah, that's true.
Somebody else gonna come pee on. So it's sad, because it was I can't remember the poet, but I remember it's called The Apology Letter. And it's going back to slavery. It's called The Apology Letter to a Black Man. And I don't know when it was wrote. I remember reading it when I was younger. And I remember, I say about 5 years ago, I ran across it again. I tried to save it. I don't remember what happened. But it's called The Apology. I don't know if it's the apology letter, but it's by a Black woman. And the picture they had tagged onto this poem was a Black woman. And I'm looking crazy, but her head was wrapped like this, and she was in the field. She was it was, get the picture. It was a mammy. I just used the word mammy. A mammy supposed to look like back then. And it was an apology letter to the Black man. And I remember the first time I shared it, a lot of shared it on a Father's Day, I think, years ago. A lot of Black men came on the post and was thanking me for sharing that letter, because a lot of women don't understand that. And I said, okay, I understand what you're saying, but it's not thanking me for sharing something you think women don't understand.
Right.
Women do understand, but the excuse we're not going to let you keep using, Master did it to me.
Right.
When you know better, you do better. When they rape your wives, you couldn't do anything about it then.
Right.
So that anger done built up all these years, and now you mad at her because another man raped her, but you decided to stay there and treat her like crap because your pride was hurt. Deal with it, brother. Deal with it. So that's misplaced anger. That's everything that's every I mean, the Willie Lynch letter to the T. It did exactly what it was meant to do.
Right.
And for boys these days, I say boys, I'm saying everybody under 30. Everybody could be under 40. I don't even do ages because it's just a number. The mindset, your mentality is your age. Um, Even though you can give them the tools and let them know what happened on those plantations was on
Right.
purpose.
Right.
But in this day and age, we have all the tools we need to unlearn what you learned, and you
Right.
still making a decision to not. That means you don't care. You don't care about your growth. You don't care about your community. Well, I used the word last night, community, and I don't like using the word community. You don't care about your cultural growth. You don't care about the next generation. You don't care because your
Right.
fear factor is, I can't stretch. I can't mentally stretch. I can't do that. I can't be humiliated. I can't do this. So I'm gonna stay where I'm at, and we just gonna roll with the road. We just gonna roll with the flow. And that's what I see a lot. And it's not just young people. I see it people in my age. I see people older. It's like, it's sad. But a lot of people won't, I don't use the word don't know anymore, won't accept that a change is needed internally
Right.
before
Right.
you can go out there and reach anything. I'm
That's
not going to
true.
let a man know that I'm not going to ask a male to be a mentor to a kid, and I know he's mentally not there.
Right.
You can put on
Right.
exercise, you can study, you can do everything you want. But if I know you personally and I need some mentors for these group of boys, I don't care how well you got your life together on the outside. I know
Right.
you ain't dealt with the inside. So no, you're not gonna mentor these boys.
Right.
Or even if
Right.
you're not gonna
Right.
mentor these young boys
Right.
because your mindset is still there. You
Right.
have not grown, you have not elevated nothing. Whatever word you want to use, your mindset is still, it's like I started out at nursing at 23. It's like patients that have Alzheimer's and dementia.
Right.
And we know most of the time, second or third stage, mostly third, they're going back, especially if they have sundiners, which is something that hits them in the evening hours,
Right.
the whole mindset. They're going back to those teenage years.
Mm.
They're going back. Most of the people that's in a nursing home are white. They're going back to when they was raised by their mother. So everything that's coming out of these people is everything they was taught as a kid. The racism, all of that. So when I see a male that on the outside looks like everything is together, but when you open your mouth and I still hear that pain
Right.
that you deliver yourself from,
Right.
I can't entwine with you. We can't communicate unless you're trying to get help.
Right.
And people think I'm cold-hearted, I'm nonchalant. I don't have the energy for it anymore because there's no excuse in this day and age why everybody should still be mentally locked up instead of helping somebody to get over it.
Right.
And those
That.
people should be in a relationship because they're going to take words like simp and take words like, use some normal words, pushover or something. They're going to take those words and they're going to escalate it to it's glorified. And that's not helping nothing or nobody.
I'm glad you mentioned that because when you think about the power of these words, none of these. See, that goes. It goes back to the major question. When a person uses these words, the words have so much power that it defines the destination in which they are
Yes.
heading in their relationship. Meaning that
Yeah.
none of these words, simp nor pimp, have anything to do with family values. None of them.
No.
It has nothing. When I think of a simp, I don't think of family. And one of the things I realize is that anything that I've decided to do from thought led to action. And so if there is a thought that's taking the place of whatever that's taking the place of whatever I've envisioned my life to be. My action is going to supersede that. It's going to follow. It's going to carry it out. And so when I think about the word simp, I think about a player. I don't think about a person who's thinking about raising a family. I've never heard a father uh, consider himself a simp, or his children consider. You ask the children, who is he to you? They're going to say, that's my dad, that's my father, and they're going to go. They're not going to refer to him as a simp. Who is he to you? They're going to say, that's my
Oh,
dad, that's my father,
yeah.
and they're going to go. They're not going to refer to him as a children. Right. So my whole concept is that if a person is a simp, then to me, the only value that a simp has is if he's a player. There is no room. I mean, that's the only destination I can see the word meaning in terms of uh, providing that type of destination or that type of. There is no. There is no. I mean, there's no substance in that. I don't believe there's no substance in the word simp. I don't see the value in it. I'm
Okay, I
listening.
just got a little confused. The definition, the guy that was on earlier, was given the 10, what was it? What did he give? The commentator that was on talking about the definition of simp in the urban definition. But
Right.
he gave examples of what, that's why I just got confused, what some people think simping is. The
Right.
pushover, the blah, blah, whatever. And then he gave the other side of what it is, which is the negative side.
Right.
Um, so it seems as if people have different definitions of what simp is.
Right.
Because what you just said, it grew to the negative part of what people think simping is versus what the guy said earlier about, well, he said both. He gave examples of both. So simping is,
That's
what
what I'm
I
trying.
gather, it's crazy. From what I gather, simping is a nice guy that, I don't want to say go overboard. That's a gentleman. I say a gentleman,
Right.
which is not a bad thing. So the other version I got of a simp is gigolo, or somebody's going to do this to gain this. So which one
Right.
is it? Which one is it?
I don't see any negative. Wait, hold on. Let me clarify that. I don't see any.
Saying no?
I don't see a positive meaning to it. I don't see it. I just see it as a word, right? That has it. It's just like, honestly speaking, it has no drive to
It
where
has
is it
no
leading
value.
to? Right. No
It has no
value.
substance. But it seems like people are using it two different ways. That's why I was just asking when I heard you talk about, if I ask these kids, what is that guiding them? They're going to say, that's my dad. That's not a simp.
Right.
That was something, the reversal of that, when I was talking about Dr. Borkins, Watkins was saying a simp is it's a nice guy that takes care of his woman and his family, treats them like a king, and I mean a queen and king, and that's the kingdom. So I'm giving a reverse side of it, saying the simp is something negative
And
versus
I would have to agree. I would have to agree, because when you think about a simp, you think about a wimp. You're thinking about somebody. Nobody wants to be a simp. Who wants to be a simp? You want to be a simp? That's the whole concept. It's reframing. It puts it in the person's mind that it is negative. It has a negative connotation to it. It just brings a negative definition to it. Period. Where you
to
say, who wants to be a simp?
the
Nobody
person
wants to
that's
be a simp.
calling.
Right. Right. Because because it already implies a comparison to something that that's of a good quality. So you say, if you don't want to become a simp, then these are the steps. Because a simp is a person who is a yes man, right? He's being too nice to women because he has an ulterior motive. Um, he may be a pushover. He may be a slight of a yes man, or he's going to do the things that, in comparison to what a real man would do, um, simps
But
fall short of a real man.
okay, okay, I got it now. Okay, I got it now. I thought it was just the word, I'm used to the word gentleman, just a
Right,
man, period. Whatever definition of a man is. Um, well, everybody had a different definition, but a gentleman that's not beta or alpha or beta.
right,
It's just you're well rounded.
right.
And other guys or people look on it as weakness. So you call him a simp. So that's what I was thinking. The other example the guy gave at the beginning of the video was saying a simp is a person that does these things with an agenda. So which one is it? That's what I was trying to get at. Which one is it?
It,
Am
it
I not explaining it?
he would have to explain it, man, because what's crazy to me is that, especially the wonderful thing was that when he narrowed it down as an urban philosophy. And a lot of times, especially, man, I came up poor, and I had come to realize that when I started to gain some type of economic stability, then all of these definitions I started to place meaning on. Meaning,
Mm-hmm.
like, when I started to spend money outside of things that I needed, meaning that if I was going to clubs, if I begin to now, I'm valuing the type of shoes and suits that I want to wear, because I want to be acknowledged by associates, by other a certain type of women that I'm looking for, that I want them to acknowledge me. I'm going to certain locations to be acknowledged because I'm spending money. Now these things are, I'm paying for luxuries, I'm paying for drinks, I'm paying for a lifestyle that causes heavy maintenance. And so what happens is that with the lifestyle comes certain words, and then I begin to gravitate and place value on those meaning of words. When I was eating mayonnaise sandwiches and syrup sandwiches, none of those words
Mayonnaise.
meant anything. You know what I'm saying? When I was in poverty and I had to wear sneakers with holes and trying to figure out how I can keep those sneakers to last me, keep the rubber on the bottom of my soles to last me until maybe I can get possibly somebody to donate a pair of sneakers to me. Those words didn't really mean, they probably would have been fighting words, depending on if I felt like I was losing anything, but mostly they were fighting words if I felt disrespected and I felt like what, but what would be a simp to a person that, I mean, to me, man, it's like I said, man, we especially, urban community, we create so many definitions for certain things, and we place value on certain things that, really, honestly speaking, it has nothing to do with the economy. It has nothing to do with um financial literacy and the neighborhoods that we live in and the homes that we come from. It has nothing to do with making a difference. And like I said, it's like, I don't knock
Okay.
nobody. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I don't knock nobody for the definitions that they use, but, like, one thing I come to realize is that I have to now question who's the audience. When I use certain words, who's the audience? Who's watching? Who's saying this? And what are they trying to sell? What is it? Is that, because, is anything wrong with being a simp? Is there anything wrong with being a simp? I don't know if there's anything wrong with being a simp, because, like I said, if it pays the bills and it meets my needs, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Because, I just come to realize is this: underneath the surface, even though the word is an urban word, underneath the surface, everybody has certain things that's appealing to them,
Yeah.
That's beyond it breaks a color barrier. And so so some people, that may bring out the best in them if there's a simp in them. Whether it be I mean, I believe a woman can be a simp too.
Hmm. That's what I was
I
saying
believe that.
earlier in the chat. Where I was saying that, okay, what was the word before simp? Because back in the day, women, we have always had names called, or she's a stupid woman, or she's a doormat, or with something. Because a woman, we're naturally nurturers, and
Right,
sometimes we take it to a level. Some women would take it to a level where they're no longer a nourisher; they're enabler, and that
right,
becomes the stupid woman. But it's a lot of women that are yes women,
right,
and that's most of us was trained to be, not to the point to where we was taught where to cut it off. Don't be a
right,
doormat. Don't this. Don't this. And then they go. Another case of domestics. And it's
right.
like, okay, when did SIP come in? Because there has been. I'm looking at SIP as something good, but the urban definition is negative. There have been good men back in the day, and there
Right.
still is, because they was at home taking care of their family, house intact, financially intact, emotionally intact, spiritually intact. They're simps. That's
And
nothing new.
and a
It's just a
sucker
new
for
generation, a new word.
and a sucker
You
for
know?
love. So if I was the type
Yeah,
of person, I'll be a simp. I'm a simp because I'm a sucker for love. You know what I'm saying? So
love,
I guess
love. You have to love loving. You have to love loving. So if you love loving, just go and sip it out.
simp it out. That's what I'm talking about. Simp it out. You know what I'm saying? Simp it out.
Hey,
The only
I'm
thing
just trying to
that
simp it
matters,
out.
the only thing that matters is what's
hey,
in
I,
under
I was
your truth.
yeah, I was
If ain't
wondering how
nobody,
long it was going to take for y'all to get to that understanding.
Hey, I'm gonna simp it out, baby. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm simping it out. That's I'm just simply simping. That's
go
all.
to the hashtag that simp it out.
You,
To all the good
Simp
men
it
and
out.
women, go simp it out. Let the haters be hate. You need haters. You need haters. So go on, simp it out, and your house will be
simp it
well.
out, huh?
That's right. I'm simping. I'm simping, man. That's what I'm doing.
I
I'm
like
simping.
that.
I'm gonna simp it out. If simping is
So,
if simping is wrong, I don't want to be right. You know.
right, we got a new song. Look,
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, cause at the very end of the day, that word simp is just only a word.
Right.
So the only
yeah,
way that word has power if you allow it to have power within your life. It's just that
Wow.
simple.
Right. Right. I was definitely thinking that because there's really no
like
power to it, but we give it.
if that word gets in a real dictionary, is if that word gets in the Webster's dictionary, that's a shame. Because remember, I don't know your age, but I remember when now if you could tell me who made this word up, I know your age. The word got in a definition, the Webster's dictionary,
Right.
conversate. Who made up conversate? Converse, conversation, conversate. Got in the dictionary. I want to say, what year was it?
I can't tell you that. I can't tell you that. But what you did remind me was when I was in college, there was two words that my professor spoke to me about, and I kid you not, this professor was so profound. His name was Dr. Dwayne Smith. He actually walked hand in hand and side by side with Martin
Mm,
Luther King Jr. And he since then been he passed on, and he left an impression on me that was just so deep. I'll never forget him, But two words came to mind he talked about was radical and intercourse. And what was so
interesting.
right. So this is what I wanted to show you. He he asked the class because he taught sociology of religion. He was when I was taking a liberal arts theology course, and he taught my sociology of religion class. And he asked the class, he says, and this was because of definitions, and he was saying how definitions and dress codes change over a period of time. The social construct of society and the paradigm shift. So what happens is
Mhm.
that he posed the question to the students, and he says, can anyone tell me what the definition of radical is? And everybody was like, it's slang and this, that, and the third. And he was saying, well, does anybody know what the original meaning of radical, the word radical, was? And nobody could tell him. So he says word, the original meaning of the word radical meant something that was new and something that was fresh. It later evolved and became something that was associated with revolutionary. But originally,
Mhm.
the word radical was that's something that was new. And the other word was um, intercourse. And he was stating that can anyone he asked the question, can anyone define the definition of intercourse, the word intercourse to me? He says, yo, it means sexual relations. He says, no. Intercourse initially was the word that was used to describe communication, social
Mhm.
discourse. So the word later gathered the meaning of sexual relations, but initially communicating between two individuals actually was inviting an individual to have what they call intercourse, just a conversation, a discussion between two individuals. Let's have intercourse, which in college we use the term, they use the term, social discourse, which are having conversations about, the particular course that you're taking, or you know the information that pertaining to the syllabus and the discussion of the books that you had to read, and things of that nature. But
I
overall,
can.
he that so I was just saying that in terms of when we think about the definition of words, a lot of times
I
um
love words.
we have to actually understand its meaning, and
Root.
how we oftentimes misuse words, and we do not use them the way they're supposed to be used. We a lot of times people uh misuse words, and it's one. I don't know if it's a global thing, but I know definitely in America it's a very, very common thing where a person could take a word and misuse it, and especially in the urban community,
And a
we
lot of
it's so
urban,
right,
it wasn't taught. It wasn't taught two and two. It wasn't taught
right,
TOTO and two. If you got
right,
it, you was one of the lucky ones. It
right.
wasn't taught. I'm going through that right now with an 8-year-old. This
Yeah, but
means this.
see,
You can. It wasn't taught.
yeah, but see, this is
And
the whole thing. See, this is the whole concept. When it comes to urban, the community, we have a different story. Even though wrong is wrong and right is right, but our story is different, because you got to remember, we African culture, it was taken away. We were robbed of our culture, robbed of everything, and we were prohibited from speaking our language, playing music, and so it had a major impact on how we related to one another. However, in our DNA and in our culture, we managed to be creative and like using hymnals to describe our way to be free and escape through songs of hymns like wade in the water. We 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 this is like something that's a part of our culture, to create language, to describe things and describe our experiences of the world around us in ways that we can understand it. um even though we do, even though we take things, and that's just the creative aspect of what we
Some of
do,
them take
man.
it too far. Take it too
Right.
far. And they blame. They want to made up something. Then they want to blame the whole culture because they
Yeah.
done took it too far. Some new word
Yeah.
was,
Right.
and it's
But
sad because
simply,
when the word intercourse, I can understand how intercourse can went to sexual because you said it was the meaning of mind is conversating, not conversating,
conversating,
to
right,
conversating, which is a
right,
language, which is a sign of communication,
right,
growth, understanding, describe intercourse, sexual. That is
right,
the same thing. It's a spiritual connection. So
right,
that is a language that's been it's a form of transmitting. So I
right,
can see how it too being something described as intercourse, not sexual.
right. So it's just like,
Now I thought radical meant fresh and new. I always knew that. Um, I never took it as a militant. I can only think of something fresh and new. I don't
yeah,
think fresh and new to me means something exciting, something. I don't think I ever took radical as something militant. I
but
can't think.
if you ever, I don't know how common the word is used today, but I know that maybe more than a few years, more than 10 years ago, if somebody say um
Hmm.
radical, if somebody referred to you as a radical, they referred to you as a revolutionary. He's a radical, or she's a radical, meaning that
Okay,
this is the type of
I can
person.
I can hear that a lot. I heard that a lot in the 80s. So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, they're a radical person. These are radicals. You know, these are the ones who exactly when you talk about the 80s, you just actually like the late 70s towards the 80s, because you got to remember during that time people were coming out of the era of protesting against Vietnam, and there were
Right,
a lot of
right.
programs and food programs that had been that had been stopped. Educational programs were stopped in the
Hmm.
urban communities, and a lot of kind of like, so you had teachers, students, teachers and students were not only fighting against Vietnam War, but they were also fighting to keep certain programs in the urban community because they foresaw what was going to take place. So due to policies and things of that nature, so they were referred to as these people are radical. They're radical. you know but it
If I
just
had to
goes to
choose,
show, yeah, definitions, words change every 20 years. I guess due to the event of technology, it changes much faster now, but
yeah. When I went
yeah,
go back to conversate was added to the Webster's dictionary,
right,
and not believe the first time this word was ever spoken, and it became a trend. Shaquille
right.
O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal. And they added to Webster's dictionary like 2 years later. I said, this is sick.
Which
Conversate.
word was
Because you couldn't go. Do you remember
conversation?
that?
I think
Conversate.
so. I
Shaquille
think
I
so.
O'Neal.
remember that.
You remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, I remember
Let's
that.
get in a dictionary. He
I,
couldn't speak. He was like horrible. Him and Magic Johnson, you did not want to have a conversation with. And they would
yeah,
give them the microphone. It's like, oh my God, why they give him the microphone?
that was
And
funny
he
that
said
you said that.
he can't said conversate after one I think it's a championship game. And then it just went like we had internet back then, like it just went viral. And it's like, what? How did it get in the dictionary?
Right, right.
To
Conversate, because most people would have thought that
convert
that was
with
a
a
word.
person. To convert with a person.
Right,
That's conversion. That's
right.
you know,
Conversate, right.
yeah. You can't catch it. I caught myself saying it a lot. It
That's
became
funny.
something that was out. It was hip.
Right,
It was that. And it's like, if I know then what I know now,
right.
so about a
Do you
lot of stuff we.
And that's what that,
Yeah,
and that's the see that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of our of our culture, um, being black and African descent, to be able to be creative like that, where we get a pass. I think we get a pass globally, because that's just something that it's like the whole world, no matter what cultures don't like about black people, they love to take what black people give to the world. The dance, the
I
music, the
name.
culture, the slang, you know, we got swag. I mean, for the first time ever, you had the whole world saying swag because of Jay-Z. So it's like, you know, everywhere we pretty much we pretty much make up rock and roll, blues, and everything in the world that dances off of music. So, you know,
All of it came from us. And people talk about, I'm gonna tell, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of people don't believe it. You can go research it now. Everything's there.
right.
Classical music. When you
Oh,
think
with the
about
jazz,
Beethoven and Beethoven, and you think about that, that came from us.
right,
The
right,
harp, the guitar, the piano, the
And
right,
the
right.
that
people
that is a fact.
That's
take
the
credit.
truth.
The harp was a medical instrument, and they would take the strings. Start with the harp, the guitar, and then the
Right,
piano was the last. They would
right,
lay it over somebody that's full of fluid and inflammation, and they would string what you call it, the strings, the
right.
vibration from that instrument loosen the mucus up in your chest.
Wow, I
And what
didn't
do
know
we do
that.
with babies and mucus? When you have a
Hmm.
newborn baby, we can't give a medicine anything. So you cuff your hand and you hit them on the with the cuff is hollow. So you're beating the mucus loose from their lungs, or whatever's in their rib cage. And that's what the strings did. You would drum on the strings and the vibration. That's why music is healing, because the vibration, we're picking up on a vibration in the air. So that's what the strings did to mucus in your chest. And then it
Right,
made a sound. Vibration is sound. And then it
right.
became the harp. Then it became the guitar. I think the piano was before the guitar. And that's classical music. That was the Beethoven. That's
Mm.
what's the so all of them back then. I can't think of all the names right now. And it's like that was ours. Science, that was ours.
Right.
Mathematics, all of that stuff. We just didn't have the upper hand. I posted something a few years ago. It was a video. Um, it was a track field, and it was people from different countries, like the Olympics. Everybody was there. Every country was there representing, and it was I think this was just in the United States though. It was a black girl, a black boy, white. It was a redhead, so I'm thinking um I can't think of redhead other than white, but it was a blonde, it was a brunette, it was a slant eye,
Right.
it was everybody was there on this. It was 8 lanes,
Right.
and during this race, it was a cartoon. During this race, it would pop up like the first half a mile. It was privilege. Now we're coming back from slavery, and then the second mile or two, it was what was it was the education system. Then the next mile or two, they're running, but this black kid is still in the back trying to catch up. They get there, but it took him an extra 20 miles to catch up with Bob. That's almost at the finish line. So it's
Wow.
like we thought that, and then I thought about the apology letter, and I thought about this, and I was like, people don't understand. We're going to get there. It's taking us longer, but since they want to acknowledge what they just did, this
Right.
Juneteenth mess, I agree with. You acknowledging this, you know what happened those 500 years, and
Right.
you're acknowledging this, and you're still saying, but I'm not going to help you get where you're supposed to be, not need to be, supposed to be. And that's what I can't get with them acknowledging this, making this Juneteenth a federal holiday. We have always celebrated Juneteenth. It's nothing new. And if a person, black or white, don't want to go to work that day, they don't. Martin Luther King, all that. It doesn't matter if they made it federal, but for you to make it a federal holiday, you're acknowledging something was wrong. You can acknowledge half-ass, acknowledge something was wrong if you're not gonna go fix it. So
Right.
making it a federal hospital didn't fix it. What comes with that? Is that a partial acknowledgement when you already told people not to talk about reparations? So that mindset is right there. That was like a band-aid to keep a lot of, I can't say some words. That was like a band-aid to keep a lot of people comfortable.
Right.
The Black Caucus community. I think the Black Caucus is a disgrace because of that day in Tulsa. It's like, come on, really? Are we
Right.
that much? Are we still that much brainwashed when we say anything goes? And then just take something so simple as the word simp. Anything
Right.
goes. We can do whatever, and it's okay because y'all don't know no better. We gotta show them we know better, and stop being the, I can't say the word, the COONs, you know, and just do better. They're not going to acknowledge us as being what they call a better people
Right.
if we don't do it. So it's like
Right.
we keep accepting less. We keep accepting you're less than, whether we know it or not. And a lot of people, I could talk to Black men and women that don't believe they're accepting certain things. Oh, it's just the way it is. When we use it's just the way it is, you're accepting. You're sweeping it
Nah.
on the rug. Everything is okay. It's fine. We don't have to change. We're good. And that's sad
Well,
because it leaves your front door and it goes out into the world and it's presented like this is the Black culture. This is this. So it is what it is.
right. You're right.
That's sad.
I
Where
definitely
we live.
agree. I agree. I agree. I agree. It just just to be brief, is that most of the time when you have people accept any circumstances without a struggle or without a fight, it's mostly because they're broken, and we come from we right. So we have been struggling to not be broken, and we have been the only type of people where that we are able to endure through our struggles,
Mm.
our pain, more than any other culture who has probably endured persecution the way we have for so long, for such a long
It's
period
so
of
weird
time.
you're saying this right now because a few hours ago, I just posted on my Facebook page. I just posted exactly what you said. I said we have endured so much. And it
Right.
was because what's her name? The Richardson girl just made the Olympics. Um
Yeah.
and the gymnastics. I can see
Yeah.
her face.
Yeah. Shout out to her. She's from Texas. She's from my hometown, right down the street
Yeah,
from me, right down the road.
That's
and
what's up.
her
That's what's
mom
up.
just died last week. Her
Texas
mom
in the
just
house.
died last week.
Wow.
Her
I'm
mom
sorry
just
to
died
hear that.
last week, and I don't know if they had the funeral yet, but she still was at every practice. She still was there. She
Wow.
still was there. Her coach and her grandmother was there, and nobody knew that. And she broke a record today.
Mm.
And it's like we
That's,
endured so much, and they don't
mm.
understand. I know I give a little leeway for people being tired and worn out because everybody has a different buildup. I have a buildup of which it can be good and bad. Survivor mode. We was in survivor mode for so long that
Right.
it's in us to never give up. Even when we need to give up, we don't. And I say when
Right.
I posted it today, I was like, we have something in us, even when they did these scientific studies on women back then, taking out their
Right.
uterus and doing all this stuff
Right.
without anesthesia. The
Right.
doctors, our doctors did it. And it was like, some lived. They
Right.
couldn't give birth anymore. It's like we lived through that and we can live
Right.
through anything. Like I remember hearing in the 80s, I started watching a bunch of comedians then. And I heard one comedian, I can't remember who it was, he said, when white people have a financial problem, they commit suicide or they jump off a cliff at the end of the world. When Black people
Right.
have a financial problem, we have a
We have
barbecue. You know,
yo, and we have,
it's okay. We're
and
gonna
we
get through
still,
this too.
we not only you know endure it, but we raise families. We still continue to raise our family, and we still continue.
We don't just do it, we master it.
We master it, right? So it's a
Look
blessing,
look at
man.
the little small, what I want to call it. I don't know what I want to call it, but I said we master it because sometimes I get too passionate, feel like I want to cry. We master it because that's all we know. We have to do this because my son is going to live. My son is
Right.
not going to. My daughter is not going to be a teenage
Right.
mom. But we get to the pinpoint, and I don't want to say the pride. We master it, but mastering to some people is settle. Oh, we can do this. We got this, and it leaves us in a mindset. I hope I'm getting it through. A mindset of not finish, but we use the word it's okay. No, it got to be better than okay. We can master this. We're going to take care of our family. Remember last night I was talking about back in the old days, they in slavery, they had to eat chitlins. They had to
Yep.
eat scraps. Now we have a choice, and you still choosing to eat chitlins.
Right.
That's
Yep.
the mindset.
Right.
We're still in survivor mode. We got to get out of
Right.
survivor mode. We're going to survive. We're going to master it, but we got to get out of that survivor mode.
Right. I see what you're
And
saying.
that's what I
I
said.
see what
It's
you're
a thin line between we know we did it. We mastered it for that. The barbecue. We're going to have this party and everybody coming up. Uncle Joe, you know, all of that. We're celebrating settling. And a lot of people
Right.
don't see it like that. We're celebrating settling, but it's always room to stretch. You have to keep stretching. I had 4 strokes, and I'm surprised I moved my arm right there because I'm going to have shoulder surgery. I had 4 strokes, and it was like something I couldn't imagine
Wow.
that I would get them out of. And it's like I see some of my patients when I used to be a nurse have
Right.
strokes and don't survive, can't talk, can't move. Even after my 4th
Wow.
stroke, I started back. I had a dance team. I need my leg. I need my limbs. I'm a dancer. And it was
Wow.
like, I looked at my mom that wasn't a mom, and everybody think I was cold-hearted. I was like, you didn't try hard because this is your weapon right here. I
Right.
know we don't control everything that goes on in our heart, but this is your weapon. I didn't go to therapy. I started back
Right.
dancing. I started by doing something that was my passion. I started by taking care of my children with no help. Because man,
Right.
dad, the baby, my youngest, we had 6. The youngest was maybe 1 when I decided to leave.
Right.
And I did raise all my kids on my own. My mom didn't raise hers. And
Right.
and it was like, it's hard. It's like 20 some years later, I'm still trying to have a little respect for her. I'm cordial with her, but I don't
Right.
respect her. But I don't
Right.
bring it up anymore. But it's
Right.
like, you didn't try hard enough.
Right.
I don't care. Unless that parent was on drugs and couldn't mentally be there. So physically, they're not there. If they are there, they're not there emotionally or spiritually. You didn't try hard enough to be a mom because you had 5 kids and you was only 1 that you didn't be a mom to. So I don't give leeway for that. I don't give because my dad was an alcoholic and he beat my mom, so that's why I'm beating my girlfriend. No,
Right.
no. I understand learned behaviors and all of that stuff, but I understand the will to do better.
Right.
You got to have the will to be better.
And we have to
gotta put
also, Queen, have the will to want to heal as well. We have to want to heal ourselves because wealth doesn't always mean health. And so
No, it
I'm
don't.
glad you shared that, sister, because first of all, I want to commend you, especially as a Black woman, for you, and I want to thank you for even sharing that part of your journey with everybody, because it's very important that we share those type of victories, because it inspires other individuals in those circumstances to say, wow, if she did it, I can do it as well. And so I want to commend you and thank you for sharing that. And I definitely want to encourage you also to continue in your journey to step to keep constantly staying in the process
You have to.
of healing and forgiving, and being able to understand how important that is for your health as well as the health of others, and how it helps other people to heal in the process, because the process is so important. It's such a
Yeah, and you have to want to heal, like you said, and the process is not verbally saying, okay, I'm gonna heal, I'm gonna do this. You gotta put in the work.
Right.
It took me literally, because one of the major signs, number one sign I would say, side effects from a stroke is depression. Something I
Right.
refused to believe was true until I went to school for nursing and I had to take up psychology. So it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
that is
depression is
true.
real. And it wasn't real to me because it was on paper in black and white in a book that I paid $130 for this book. You know,
Right.
it was real. It became real to me when I went through. I remember being a teenager and seeing people. My mom was diagnosed clinically depressed, and I said
Right.
I would never not enjoy flowers, never not enjoy the birds chirping at 5 in the
Right.
morning, you know. And I got to a point to where I hated flowers and I hated this, but it made me think about my mom was clinically depressed, and I refused to be like she was, and how
Right.
miserable her life was and still is. And
Right.
but with the scientific side of it, I understood that was one of the side effects of strokes, and I had four. So I'm in deep shit now. I had four, not just one. So I got to deal with one stroke side effects
Right.
of depression, then a second one, then a third. So I got mess on top of mess I got to deal with, and I never went to therapy. I never did any of that. I had the will where I can sit inside my house and do what I need to do and save
Right.
money. That was stubborn, probably stupid. I probably would have healed faster. But the depression part was the hardest part, because that took me like 13 years to completely come out of.
Have you gone through therapy now?
No. Only
Did you
therapy I
ever?
ever had was this shoulder, because I had a car accident last year and I'm off work right now. So
Did
that's
you?
it. Physical.
You said
I
this
couldn't
show,
walk for
right?
6 months.
This is the
Huh?
urban this show is therapy. This is the urban therapist show right here.
Don't
That's
let
what
me
it is.
talk. Don't let me talk. So
Yeah, because
it's like therapy.
now I
Therapy.
recommend
Therapy
that,
to me.
that everyone go to therapy. And recommend that because therapy is the biggest taboo in the Black community. They feel that when you mention about therapy, that there's something wrong with you. Mentally, like you're crazy or anything like that. But it ain't nothing like that, because we all deal with
Well, I
different
was talking
traumatic
about physical
behaviors.
things. But you brought that up last night about it being a taboo. I don't think it's so much of a taboo as it is that what it used to be. It was a real big taboo in the 70s, 80s, and even the 90s. But I don't
Right.
think it's so much of a taboo now. I think it's an age group. It's an age group that's
Yeah,
really
true.
accepting, and it's some that don't. So I don't think it's as much of a taboo as it was back then for the I won't even say the baby boomers. I say after that, our age group. But when I was in school for nursing, I had to take up psychology, and I kept the same professor for introduction to psychology through I can't even get it out now. Abnormal psychology. If that semester was full, if I didn't get the class the first day, I would wait a whole nother semester so I could get him. He was that good. And I would sit in class and I would cry because I just had another stroke, a nervous breakdown. I'm trying to get through school. I have my youngest child is 3. I want to be done with school before she gets to 5th grade. I want to be out
Yeah.
of when my oldest child gets to high school. I want to, I had plans. Then I had another stroke. Then I had another nervous breakdown. It's like, okay. I would sit in class. It's like, I'm not going to therapy. Why would I go to therapy for somebody to tell me something that I'm going to school for to do? So
Right.
my therapy came through life breaking me down.
Right.
The myth of psychology breaking me
Right.
down. I was like, okay. This is I was in ministry too, so I was a Christian. And it was like, okay, God, what you doing now?
Right.
And it was like my self-therapy was taking the lashes and getting through. I can't teach anything I've never been through.
Right.
You can't teach me how to stop smoking crack if you never smoked crack.
Right.
You can't teach me how to be a mother if you was never a mother.
Right.
So it's like I went through that, and it took me longer to come to wholeness. I'm saying that word lightly because I don't think you'll ever be fully whole, because you got to keep going. You got to keep going. It's not a destiny. It's one destiny after the next destiny. It's always another destiny. So it's like my stubbornness and pride took me longer. My first stroke was at 19. My last stroke was at 38. So it took me longer to get to where I thought I should have been 20
Right.
years ago, because I had to experience it. Not knowing at the time, I'm making myself go through this. I had to experience it. I have to know if this is a T or I. You need to prove to me that this is a T or an I.
Right.
And I was that type of person on myself. And single mom doing all of that, and it was hard. And people on the outside was like, oh, you're so strong. And before that, I used to model, and it's like, okay, y'all don't see what's in the inside of me. I'm hurting every day. I'm
Right.
smiling, I'm going to work, I'm taking care of patients, I'm modeling, I'm in school, I'm doing this, and I have 5 kids at home that I have to help with homework before I take a nap and go to sleep, night shift. So it's like I had to go through all of that to show strength is here.
Right.
And to show the bitter Black women that even though I did all of that as a single mother, I was tired, I was mad, I was lonely, I was all of that, but I chose to be single because I didn't want another man around my kids. I had 5 girls.
Right.
And I saw my mom with multiple men, and I saw my sister with multiple boyfriends every 6-7 months. I was like, I'm not doing that. So it was a very lonely life. And it's like, I wanted to show these bitter Black women that I don't give a damn if you did all of it by yourself. You cannot sit there and degrade and dog a Black man because it was your choice. Some of them not their choice, but most of the time it's our choice when we want to be single. Right. And get on this pedestal of I did this. I don't need a man. I am my king and my queen. I am alpha. That's your downfall. That's that women's liberation mess that started in the 60s that the Black women jumped on a bandwagon for, and it wasn't for us. Right. And that mindset was taught to the children, to the little girls. You be cute, whether you dark skin or light skin, you this way, you that way, or you just, became that yes woman. But deep inside, you're bitter, and you causing a whole generation not to grow because that spirit is around those children. And it's like, okay, I think I had to go through that experience the way I did, even though I was lonely, sad, cried a lot. And I laughed a lot because I laughed through everything. Right. I had to go through it in order to be who I am today. Because you got to have that sympathy, that empathy, all of that passion inside of you to say, okay, I can feel your pain, and I would try my best to help you get through it. Right. Where the intellectual part of it, I'm going to try my best to help you get through it, but I'm not going to kill myself doing it anymore. Right. I used to kill myself trying to help people. I'm going to give you the tools you need, and I might sound cold-hearted or nonchalant or whatever. Right. Because I don't have the patience anymore to go through it. I'm going to get you as far as I can. Right. But you got to do the work. You got to get the rest of the way. So it's like, even with Black boys, like I said last night, the Black boys aren't supposed to cry. I said, no, you better cry. You better cry, but you better not whine. You better not whine about it. Go on, cry, get it out your system. Because if you don't, in 10 years, you're going to be beating somebody's daughter. Right. Just because you wasn't taught to release your emotions, to show it, to know. That's how you heal a generation. Right. Right. So it's like, let me stop because I feel the passion coming out. Yeah. Let me stop.
Yeah, we're coming up to the final 2 minutes of the show. Hey, I appreciate each and every last one y'all on here. Do y'all have any final thoughts? We'll start with Queen first. With any final thoughts, then we'll hit you read, and I'll finish it.
My final thought is simp it out. Simp it out. That's when we started with talking about simping, and we went everywhere else. So just simp it out.
Simping it out.
We gotta make a simping gang sign or something. We got
simp it out.
Just simping it out. Just simping it out.
That's all.
Thank you. I just want to thank both of y'all, man. I enjoyed this conversation. I enjoyed being on the show, and I want to thank both of you, Queen and the Urban Therapist. Thank y'all for inviting me, and I would like to attend more. I mean, I think that the concept of what what you said, Mother Queen, that was well said, and it's basically, to make a long story short, that's exactly what I was saying. Relearning to learn again, so that we can learn properly, so that we can deposit the proper lessons and other people, the proper inspiration and motivation to other people, and simp it out. There's, if it's,
I'm gonna tell you the urban version of what you just said.
yeah,
And urban therapists, we said this last night. Learn. We need to have the ability to learn, to unlearn what we learned.
right.
Learned with a T.
Absolutely.
We got to go back and
Facts.
reprogram. We got to unlearn what we learned, and that's the only way we can heal.
I
Absolutely.
agree.
And that's hard. It's really hard, but hey, we can get through it because that's in our DNA. But it's hard when it comes to psychological reconstruction. When it comes to changing mentality, that's the hardest job in the world, other than being a parent.
It's a
Yes.
process, and we gotta
Absolutely.
enjoy it. Right, we gotta enjoy the process. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate y'all. Now, I've been real quiet on the panel. They know normally I'll be talking, but I've been real quiet on this panel because I've been doing a lot of behind the scenes, trying to make sure that the platform stay up. Over here in Texas, we're actually dealing with a thunderstorm right now, so it been kind of making my internet and everything very janky. But I've been doing my part of keeping
Right.
this song going because I know we was giving some real good quality content on here. So I was doing that. So I just allow y'all just to want to talk. Everything y'all saying, I totally agree
Appreciate
with it. Y'all made some great points as well too. And so what I want to do, and I do want to invite both y'all on my one platform again. I'm gonna come and do this on platform format probably this coming up Friday. I do it again because my wife, she's saying, well, you need to cut it down to at least twice a week because we need me time.
Just let me know
So-
what day, because I'm off work, but I have a webinar Friday in a
Okay.
women's group. So I don't think I'll be available Friday. Oh, you do yours pretty late. I think that webinar is at 8 o'clock, and it's probably
Yeah,
over with.
I learned to do my podcast late at night around by 10 because that's when the children are more settled. And I
Okay.
also learned
Okay.
that the virus actually goes up around that time too, around about 10 o'clock.
Yeah, just
But that's 10
tag
o'clock my
me.
time.
Yeah, just tag me in. Just if I'm not there, just tag me in.
Yeah, tag me as well. Tag me as well,
Because I
man.
will forget. And I enjoyed both you guys. So yeah, I love healthy
Thank you.
dialogue, and that's what we need more.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I believe that we're going to have more of these unhealthy dialogues too. I'm a big advocate of allowing people to come on my platform and just express yourself. Long as we're doing it in a respectable manner, I don't mind it at all.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I really do. It's definitely therapy to me. Thank you, Queen,
Yeah, it
for
is.
allowing
It
me the
is. Thank
opportunity.
you.
And thank you, Urban Therapist. And I'm definitely looking forward to catching y'all both again. And and it's just it's a perfect opportunity. It's a blessing. For me, it's a blessing, man.
It
Thank you.
is.
Thank
It
y'all
is.
for sharing.
Same here.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. All right, everybody, we appreciate you tuning in. And like always, y'all continue to fight fate with faith, and we will see you next time, okay?
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.